Can you hear me? Sorry for the. Ooh, that sounds rough. Yeah, Rusty, I hear you. No better, right? Okay, hold on. No better, right? Okay, hold on. Is that any better? Whew. A lot of feedback. Is that any better? Alien dolphins, right, Janet? I'm trying to figure this out. I don't know what's going on, guys. Alien dolphins, right, Janet? I'm trying to figure this out. What's going on, guys? We sound good now? Is that better? Man. Thank you, Rusty. Sorry, everybody. That was horrible. Dang. I got to put on my my fancy headset microphone speaker thing. I don't know what was going on with that. I was using my lavalier mic like I was doing the other night, and God, that was awful. No, it wasn't just awful. It was terrible. Very, very sorry, everybody that's joining the live stream. 5 people watching. Let me just go ahead and say hi and hello to everybody. Get my bearings straight here. Whew. Rusty, Janet, hello, Dean. Starting a new rune set today. Awesome. And Matthew Petrie from Odin's Beard Woodworking. Hail and welcome everybody to the next installment of our COVID-19 quarantine live stream. Streaming to you live here from Midgard Musings. If you guys haven't yet already, which I know everybody who's watching right now has, a nice little prompt down at the bottom of your screen. It says subscribe to Midgard Musings. And if you have subscribed to Midgard Musings and you want other people to join in the live stream, go ahead and share the link above to get some folks in. The more the merrier. What the heck just dropped? Oh, never mind. That wasn't important. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are live here on YouTube, and the feedback issue has been resolved. We're going to be doing some rune set wood burnings. The other night when I was on here, we did a lot of the preliminary rune sets or pieces of the rune sets. So pieces like this, the driftwood pieces, we did all the wood burnings. Now we're going to be doing the shading and the shadowing and giving them some life, bringing some life to the runes, guys and gals. So stick around, invite your friends, share this link around in all your social media platforms. pour yourself a drink safely. Water, stay hydrated. If you do drink alcohol, go ahead and just settle in for the night here for probably for the next hour or two, maybe. I don't know. Don't have a real set time in place. But I'm going to be working on shading these runes for this client. I actually have to get more material to finish the rune set. I am actually, let's see, I'm 7 runes shy of a complete set right now. But that means I have to go out and I have to brave the elements tomorrow. I'm going to read your comments. Hey, Gray H. Hail, and good afternoon to you. Purple Flamingo. Am I still doing rune burnings and your set got ruined? Yes, Purple Flamingo, I do still provide rune sets. So as I'm doing right now, these are driftwood pieces. So stick around so I can show you how I kind of finish these driftwood pieces. I also do birch wood rune sets. So if your rune set got ruined, which I'm very sad to hear that happened, stick around and I will show you the finishing touches of my driftwood rune sets, the way they look when they're finished. All right, so this is kind of like I said, the unfinished wood burned version. Working on Fehu right now, the first, and I'll show you what that looks like. So stick around for that. Making runes from clay, Dean. That's got to be awesome. So everybody that's joining live right now, really appreciate it. Share the live stream link in your social media platforms if you don't mind. Everybody's on lockdown, guys, right now. As a matter of fact, more and more counties and more jurisdictions in our United States region here in the United States are currently being given stay at home or shelter in place orders from our local governments, our state governments. So a lot of us are stuck sort of in a lockdown status. What that means is that if you don't have to go out, don't go out. Stay at home. Which for some people is a bit more convenient or easier than others. For me, I don't mind it one bit. I'm somewhat of an introvert. As much as I like to interact with people and talk to people, I am quite content in staying introverted, right? I think we can all relate. Thanks, Rusty. Flowers Mash. We are, but has not changed anything. Everything except gyms and bars are still open. Yeah, there's a lot of things a lot of businesses that are adhering to this shelter in place, stay at home, don't go anywhere, don't do whatever, that kind of thing. They're adhering to these certain orders, but some businesses aren't quite so heavily impacted. Others are. So if you work in a certain industry, you're probably going to feel the effects of this sort of thing right now. All I can tell you is please stay safe. Oklahoma is on curfew after 5. Oklahoma is one of those things, man, or one of those states, I guess, that's statewide. Rusty, if you're in Oklahoma, or if you know somebody who's in Oklahoma, but anyways, wherever you are, please stay safe. If you don't have to go out, then don't. That is the general rule of thumb. Okay. But while we're here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to let you know that kind of how we were doing the other night, doing this rune set wood burnings and reading some stories from the Lord. This part of the driftwood rune pieces that I work is a bit tedious. So I'm not going to be able to go as fast as I was going the other night working through the rune sets, because I am literally like giving life to each of these runes. I'm going to show you kind of like the before and after aspects of it, but we're also going to be reading some stories of the Lord throughout the night because I've got nothing but time on my hands right now. A lot of people have nothing but time on their hands right now, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to maintain my professional life, my business, the things that I do professionally, my career. I can work from home, and I've also got this. So I'm fortunate to be able to hang out with everybody tonight and talk about stuff. So anybody that has any questions down below, please feel free to comment. Everything in Michigan is closed down. Dean, that's crazy. Please stay safe. I know you were talking the other day. You're in the upper UP of Michigan. Probably still have snow on the ground. Down here in Tennessee, where I'm located, we were up in the 70s temperatures today, about near 80 degrees. So it's pretty freaking wild when you consider. We're getting into close to April, and we never really even had a winter. So all of the things that needed to die or the things that needed to go dormant in the cold months down here just really didn't. So we've got that to contend with. I love working these driftwood pieces, folks. They are one of my favorite rune sets to work on and bring to life for people. My most, I guess you could say, popular rune sets are the birch wood pieces. Not sure why. I don't know if it's an aesthetic thing, the way they look, but they are the most popular. But I started working on the driftwood pieces before I did the birch ones. So this always has a special place in my heart because I haven't seen rune sets made by people, at least publicly posted, made out of driftwood. So this is pretty cool and special. Rusty says he forged a spearhead today. Lots of time on your hands and living off of the tax return at the moment, which is awesome. I think it's really a valuable thing. I guess you could say maybe a blessing in disguise, whatever. But we're isolated right now, folks, and everybody's sitting at home or staying at home, and it therefore cultivates the mindset of what can I do? What can I do to keep myself busy? What can I do to keep my mind active, my body active, this, that, thing, and the other? Definitely encourage everybody to don't forget about being active. Don't sit down all day. Don't be stagnant. Move around. Go for walks, right? Just because we're on an isolation or stay-at-home orders or shelter-in-place orders or whatever it is where you are, doesn't mean that you can't get out and walk around. Breathe the free air. Breathe the air that is there for us to breathe, Now, as I'm talking with you folks, everybody's watching right now. I've got 12 live viewers. Thank you so much. If you are watching live right now, please comment down below where you are watching from. As I'm doing these, or as I'm talking to you guys, as I'm working on this rune, you will realize we're all still here, I think. Might have had a slight interruption in connection. Everybody's still here? Everybody's still watching? Everybody's still connecting? We all still good? Just got a notification on the screen that we were attempting to reconnect. So I just want to make sure that everyone is still here and we're all still good. Driftwood does have a significant role in heathenry. Thank you, Dusty Sizemore, for commenting and watching down below. Everybody is still here and watching, hopefully. Sorry for the interruption if there was one. Not sure what was going on there with the internet, but we're still here. Everybody can hear me, voice only. Can you see me? Voice is still good, according to Janet. Centuryman 398 says we're still here. All right, I'm still here. You're still here. We just had a little slight glitch. I'm not sure what was going on. But ladies and gentlemen, let me know if you can see me. Can you see me right now? Because I want to show you something. If you can't see me, let me know. Everything's good, voice and video. Thank you, Mariah. All right. So, as an example before, guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is an unfinished rune piece of driftwood, right? It's just burned into the raw piece. And this is the finished piece. So this is what you get from me as I do the rune sets of driftwood. Okay. So if you're interested in a driftwood rune set or any other rune set, I do driftwood and I do birch. The birch are finished a little bit differently. I post stuff on pictures on my Facebook page. If you go to Facebook and search Midgard Musings, you'll find the rune sets for my birchwood pieces look a little bit different. I have a little bit different aesthetic, but this is the finished version of the driftwood pieces. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. All right. Right now I got a total of 12 live viewers, which is tremendous. We're all hanging out here in the COVID-19 quarantine live stream, I like to call it. The COVID-19 quarantine live stream. Having a little bit of scotch as we're working on this rune set. Let me finish Urus. And if everybody that's watching right now would like to hear a story from the lore, I've got a really cool book that I'd like to read from. So stick around for about the next 5 or 10 minutes, and I'll read a story from that if you guys are so interested. Don't forget to please like, comment, share, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff. Share this. Let people know. Invite your friends. Invite your heathen friends. Share it on your timelines. Let everybody know, like, Midgard Musings is live. This very rarely ever happens. Subscribe. It's coming across your screen right now. That logo. Where am I? Right here. Right? Everything's mirrored. I'm pointing in the wrong direction. Everything's mirrored, but you see it right here. Midgard Musings logo. If you see it, click on it, like it, follow, subscribe, whatever. I do Facebook, I do YouTube. I really don't do Instagram because I don't know, it's too much of a hassle. Heathen Radio, Janet King. I did I used to do a live, I used to do a podcast on Anchor, which is still, I still have it. I just don't do it as much, but I might get back into doing it more nowadays. Just got here. S. Tolman. You can hear me and see me. Great. Thank you, Gray. Gray H says, those look awesome. Can't wait for the lore. Awesome, Century. Well, you can't wait, and I can't wait to get into it. So let me go ahead and start working on finishing Urus. And then here in the next 5 or 10 minutes, we will get into reading a story from the lore. If you weren't here on the last live stream, the last 2 stories that I read about were kind of a covering or surface scratching of the stories of kind of like the beginning of humanity, the beginning of like almost like a creation story for humanity from a Norse lore perspective. And then the other story that I read from was when Odin sacrificed his eye or gave his eye to get a drink from Mimir's well, which is a very important part for me in the stories and in the lore, because me as a Vitki, as a rune master, as a rune studier, there is parts of ourselves that we must give and parts of ourselves that we must sacrifice in order to learn the runes and deliver the rune knowledge to our community. And as Janet King, who's watching right now, knows, as a patron supporter through Patreon here on Midgard Musings, if you become a top tier Patreon supporter, you get a monthly rune draw. Janet, I haven't forgotten about you, and there's a couple other people who have recently become chieftain status Patreon supporters. You get a monthly rune draw, which I email to you directly. So if you are curious and interested, any of my other published videos, there's a Linktree comment in the description area. You go down there, you click on it, you'll find my Patreon, because I don't have it memorized by heart, but it's like probably like patreon.com/MidgardMusing, something like that. I don't know. But if it's something you're interested in and you want a monthly rune draw reading, as well as a shout out in all of my videos at the end, you kind of get credited as a Patreon supporter in all of my YouTube videos. Become a Patreon supporter today. Not pressuring you, not pressuring anybody, but I'm just offering it out there that it is an option. Definitely something that you can consider. It helps support the channel, and it gives you a little bit of airtime, so to speak. You get recognized here on my channel, and then you get something out of it. You get the monthly rune draws. So thank you everybody for watching. Got about, I would say 45% of Urus completed on this specific piece of driftwood. I really enjoy working on these runes, everybody, and I appreciate everyone hanging out with me right now. Still holding strong at 12 live viewers. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the COVID-19 quarantine live stream, guys. We're in crazy times. Everybody's sitting down, staying at home, watching videos, doing their things, making music, doing crafts like I'm doing right now, working on our craftsmanship, our craftsman skills. We're in crazy times, right? We're in a state of chaos. Chaos seeking order. As soon as I get done with Urus here, I'll show you the progress of it, and then we will read a part of the lore that I hope everybody is looking forward to. So everyone who's still watching, stick around. Probably about 5 more minutes. Just 5 more minutes. Looking forward also for everybody who's still watching, the next video that I have planned on being published here on YouTube sometime this Sunday is going to be a continuation of the study of the parts of self. Anybody who's new to the channel, just head over to the video playlist section and or just see all the videos that I've posted. I've done 2 videos thus far on the parts of the self. I've done parts of or study on a part of the Huger and the Homer. And then this Sunday's video is going to be on the Philia. So getting into some really cool stuff, really important things about our perceptions of parts of ourselves as heathens, right? Almost done here. Just got the back side of this rune left to do. I am open and willing to answer any questions anybody has that's watching. See a lot of familiar names down below. I would love to see some names that I've never seen before. I've seen, Centuryman 398H. That's a new name I haven't seen. I've seen Purple. What is it? I don't know. It was Purple somebody before about the rune sets. We got here. Flower Mash sounds like no one has an opinion on Runic. This is Runic John. So what other books have I enjoyed reading pertaining to heathenry? I guess I would say from just overall heathenry, I would encourage you to read a book called We Are Our Deeds. It's by Eric Wodening, and it is a collective of heathen ethics and morals from pre-Christian times. It's not a very long read. You can get it on, I think, Lulu. So if you just search We Are Our Deeds, Eric Wodening is the author, and you find it on Lulu. You're going to look to spend maybe $15-20 on the paperback version. And heathen ethics and morals, very important part in my heathen development, and very important part, I think, in a lot of heathen development. Of course, you got your lore, the poetic and prose Eddas with all the stories of the gods. You got your over 700 varieties, or 700 different sagas, not varieties, but 700 different sagas. A lot of stuff contained in the sagas that help you grow as a heathen, just because it tends to highlight and focus on the cultural view of the world with the heroes and the characters spoken of in those sagas. So I definitely encourage that. If you're looking for runic information, I I have a couple of books that I might recommend here shortly, for specifically for runic knowledge. But here we're about to get into reading some a story from a very cool, very interesting, very neat version of the lore. But this is the finished version of Urus. Okay, so here's Urus all finished out, very rustic looking. I like the feel and the texture of these, and everybody who's gotten runes from me, who's bought runes from me, who's purchased runes from me, who's commissioned me to do these, also likes the feel. They're light, but they're also they're fairly textile. So there's that. All right, let me read through the comments here real quick. Hey, Mariah Trujillo, can't wait. Been looking forward to the next video. Thank you so much. We are our deeds. Culture of the Teutons. Awesome for worldview development. You're right, Dusty. I would concur and I would agree with you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. First of all, how long have we been sitting here? Almost an hour, nearly 30, 45 minutes. Guys, here's the thing. If you're sitting down, if you're watching, stand up, right? Stand up, stretch, get your body moving. Don't stay stagnant too long, because you don't want things to just stop working on you, right? So I've been getting around. I've been getting up, even though I'm having to work from home. I get up every day. I do push-ups. I do, exercises. I do stuff to keep myself physically healthy. Do the same thing for yourselves. Stay hydrated. Drink plenty of water. Stay safe is the biggest thing. So we're going to get into some lore reading, right? We're going to get into some story reading right now. I love this part of things. I love it because I think that the storytelling part of heathenry has always been important, right? Because a lot of the information that has been passed down over the centuries, over the years, has been through word of mouth. It's not so much what's been written down. Fortunately, we do have some things that were written down, but the stories, the folklore, has been what is delivered through speaking to the next person, and it gets into their mind and in their ears, and they deliver it to the next person. So stories are delivered through words and through speaking. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to read a story from a really neat source. I'm going to show you guys and gals. For everybody who wasn't here on the last live stream, you may not know the source that I'm reading from. It's very, very special to me. Okay. All right. So this book that I'm showing you guys right now, Asgard Stories. All right. It's a Foster and Cummings collaborative work from the Silver Burdett and Company publication. I showed this before, but I'll show it to you all now. Hopefully you'll be able to see. Can you tell me if I can get it right with the lighting and everything? Can you tell me right there where the copyright date is? It might be mirrored, but the copyright date. Isn't that amazing? Can you see that? Let me know down in the comments if you can see it. The copyright date, everybody, is 1901, which means this book is nearly 120 years old. This publication is nearly 120 years old, and it has a lot of stories from kind of gleaned from like the poetic and prose eddas that are significant to Norse heathens nowadays, right? Like some of the stories, like the famous stories of lore, like we talked about, the story of the creation of humanity, of mankind, of whatever, and then Odin's obtaining of Mimir's a drink from Mimir's well by sacrificing his eye. So those were the two stories that we read from the last time that we were streaming live here. So we're going to continue on that. And the next story in this book, the next, I guess, progression in this book, after I take a hit from the vape, so you'll have to excuse me. Still got 10 viewers live. Appreciate it. Thank you all so much. Don't forget to comment down below where you're commenting from, where you're watching from, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. The next story that we're going to be going into talking about right now is the story, as it is identified in this book. This chapter is Tyr and the Wolf. Now, how many heathens that are watching right now, who can tell me the name of the wolf? We're talking about the story of Tyr and the Wolf. If you guys are followers of my channel and followers of heathenry for any length of time, who is the wolf that we're talking about right here when we're talking about Tyr and the wolf? Go ahead and comment down below and let me know who this wolf is or what that wolf's name is. Hey, Ragnaroki, up in Florida. Mariah is watching from New Mexico. And Gray is watching from New Mexico as well. So how cool is that? I didn't even know that, right? We got Mariah and we've got Gray H watching from New Mexico. Beautiful state, by the way. I love going there. Centuryman, Fenrir, and Mariah says Fenrir. Yes. Yes, you are correct. All right, so we are talking about Tyr and the Wolf. Tyr and Fenrir. One of my favorite stories in the lore, one of my favorite figures in the lore is Tyr. I have a piece on my altar. Let me just show you real quick. Well, before we get into the story, one of my altar pieces is this blade, which has the Tiwaz rune burned into the handle of it. And this is a dedication to a lot of my ritual work. And the Tiwaz rune is burned into it as a kind of homage to the sky god, to Tyr, to the god of war. War and justice, right action, that sort of thing. So, BFE Ohio, says Dusty. Pennsylvania is Century Media. Or Century Man. Why did I say Century Media? I'm thinking of a record label. All right, so here we go, guys and gals, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Tyr and the Wolf, Tyr and Fenrir. Thank you so much for watching. Odin the Allfather sat one day on his high air throne, and looking around him far and wide, saw three fierce monsters. They were the children of the mischievous fire god Loki. And Odin began to feel anxious, for they had grown so fast and were getting so strong that he feared that they might do harm to the sacred city of Asgard. The wise father knew Loki had given strength to these dreadful creatures, and he saw that all this danger had come upon the Aesir from Loki's wickedness. Now I'm going to stop. I'm going to pause, actually, real quick. I want to pause because a lot of what I'm reading right now, a lot of what I'm speaking to you right now, again, comes from a publication within the last 120 some odd years. Seeing some undertones of, definite Christian influences, which is, of course, what we see in Snorri Sturluson's Prose Edda. But I want to ask everybody who's watching right now, everybody who's watching who already commented and said the name of the wolf, Fenrir. That first paragraph, we're talking about three monstrous figures. All right. Can anybody perhaps suggest or put down here in the comments who those three monstrous figures may have been and their names? All right. They were the children of Loki. So can anybody tell me right now down in the comments, while we're watching live and while we're streaming live, the names of the monsters who were the children of Loki? And I'll just give a few minutes for everyone to comment down below. We already got one, right? We already got Fenrir, because this is the story of Tyr and Fenrir. So somebody already said that. So that's kind of a hint. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments right now. Gray H S. Tolman said Fenrir. Gray H says Jormungandr, Sleipnir, and Fenrir. And then Mariah says Hell, Fenrir, Jormungandr. Dusty Sizemore says Jormungandr and Hell. Century Man, Hell, Jormungandr, Fenrir, maybe Sleipnir. Yes. So the children of Loki are Hel, Jormungandr, and Fenrir. Sleipnir is a sort of, right, a product of Loki, because Loki shapeshifted into the form of a mare, and when the giant who was fortifying Asgard, more or less, his horse ran off and was seduced, right, or was distracted by Loki in the form of a mare. Sleipnir was the result. So the correct answer is Hel, Fenrir, and the world serpent Jormungandr. So congratulations to everybody who answered that correctly, and thank you so much for offering your comments down below. Let's continue on with the story. All right. So one of these monsters was a huge serpent, as I just said, that Odin sent down into the ocean, where he grew so fast that his body was coiled around the whole world, and his tail grew into his own mouth. And he was called the Midgard serpent, as we know by name, Jormungandr. The second monster was sent to Niflheim, the house of darkness, and shut up there. And without being named and without being known in this version of the story, we would know that monster to be Hel, because Niflheim is part of the unspoken parts of the underworld, at least in the pre-Christian Scandinavia lore. Then we get into the like Snorri Sturluson's version of the lore, and we have the various realms. Niflheim is part of Helheim, over which Hel herself presides. Okay, so there's that. Now, the third, a fierce wolf named Fenrir, was brought to Asgard, where Odin hoped he might be tamed by living among the Aesir and seeing their good deeds and hearing their kind words. But he grew more and more fierce until only one of all the gods dared to feed him. Who is that one god who was brave enough and who dared to tame, or to attempt to tame, who was the caretaker of Fenrir? Who was that one god? Ladies and gentlemen, comment down below and let me know who was that one god who was fit or brave enough to tame or to attempt to tame and to control Fenrir. Mariah, tears the correct answer. This was the brave god, Tyr. He was a war god, like Thor, and is sometimes called the sword god. Tyr was loved by all because he was so true and faithful. Each day, the dreadful wolf grew larger and stronger, till all at once, before the Aesir thought about it, he had become a very dangerous beast. Father Odin always looked troubled when he saw Fenrir, the wolf, come to get his evening meal of meat from Tyr's hand, and at last one night, after the wolf had gone growling away to his lair, Odin called a meeting of the Aesir. He told them of his fears, saying they must find some plan for guarding themselves and their home against this monster. They could not slay him, for no one must ever be killed, and no blood must ever be shed within the walls of the sacred city. Thor was the first to speak. "Do not fear, Father Odin," said the mighty thunder god. "For by tomorrow night we shall have Fenrir so safely bound that he cannot do us any harm. I will make a mighty chain with the help of my hammer, Mjolnir, and with it we will bind him fast." Now, guys, doesn't that just sound like Thor? Doesn't that just sound like our big brother, right? Through might and main, through the power of brute force, we will bind and we will control the wild forces through brute force alone. Is that not Thor? Is that not our big brother? Is that not what a lot of us think we ourselves can do in many times, in many instances where we are faced with challenge, we are faced with chaotic forces that the brute force of our nature can stop and control, right? Well, going on in the story, when the Aesir heard these words of Thor, they were glad, right? They were glad. They all went home rejoicing, except Odin. He was still troubled, for he well knew the danger and feared that even the mighty Thor would find this task too much for him. But Thor seized his hammer and strode off to his forge. There he worked the whole night long, and all through Asgard were heard the blows of Mjolnir, and the roaring of the bellows. Audio is probably horrible right now, but you can imagine the bellows of the blowing fire, that heat, that rush, and the hammer smacking the anvil, right? Thor going to work, beating that thunderous, loud roar. Well, the next night, when the Aesir were gathered together, Thor brought forth his newly made chain to test it, and in came Fenrir, the mighty wolf. And everyone was surprised to see how willingly he let himself be bound with the chain that Thor made. Well, when Thor had riveted the last links together, the gods smiled, right? They began to praise him for his wonderful work. Hail Thor! But all at once, the wolf gave one bound forward and broke the great chain and walked off to his lair as if nothing had happened. Right? We are seeing the fact that brute strength, might, skill, the might and main of Thor was not enough to bind this monster. Well, as you can imagine, Thor was much disappointed. Still, he did not lose courage. He said to the Aesir that he would make another chain, even yet stronger. Again, he set to work, and for 3 nights and 3 days, the great Thor worked at his forge without resting. So for 3 long days and 3 long nights, the halls of Asgard, and probably echoing into the realms of Midgard, into the mankind, echoed with a strong and deep banging and bellowing and roaring of Thor's handiwork. So while he worked, his friends did not forget him. They came and looked on while he was busy, and as they watched the mighty hammer falling with quick blows upon the metal, they talked to Thor or sang noble songs to cheer him. Sometimes they brought him food and drink, and we all know how much Big Brother Thor loves food and drink, right? One visitor who was no friend, fierce Fenrir the wolf, sometimes put his nose in at the door for a moment and watched Thor at work. Then, as he went away, Thor heard a strange sound and a wicked laugh. That's an interesting thing going on there, right, folks? The wolf himself came in to see. What are you doing? What are you doing in there? Saw it, walked away, and there was some sort of mockery going on. Interesting. Well, at last, the chain was finished, and Thor dragged it to the place of meeting. It was so heavy that even the mighty Thor could hardly lift it or drag it, and as far as Odin's palace of Gladsheim. This time, Fenrir was not so willing to be bound. He saw those chains and he said, no. But the gods coaxed him. It's okay. It's all right. You broke out of the last one. Come on, check these out. Not so much different, right? Talked of his great strength, Fenrir. You got out of the last set. This ain't nothing for you. You broke out of Thor's chains. You can surely break out of these chains. Told him that he sure would easily break them. And after a while, he agreed and let them be put to test around his neck. Well, this time, Thor was sure that the chain would hold firm, for never before had such a strong one ever been made. Thor put all his back into it. He did everything that he could to make these things indestructible. But soon, with a great shake and a fierce bound, The wolf broke away and went off to his lair, snarling and showing his wicked teeth, while the broken chains lay on the ground. Well, sadly, the Aesir came together that night in Odin's palace, and this time Thor was not the first to speak as he sat apart and was silent. Kind of beaten, right? Beaten and defeated. You can see here in the imagery of this book, ladies and gentlemen, the chains did not quite hold so well for Fenrir, right? Well, since Thor was off to the side, probably feeling a little bit sour about the whole thing, right? Spent all these days and nights trying to bind this maniacal, crazy beast. Not feeling so hot about himself. Well, at this point, Freyr speaks. A god associated with the months of summer and king of the fairies. Hearken to me, O lords of Asgard, he said. I have not won a brave name in battle like the noble Tyr. Neither have I done such mighty deeds as the great Thor and others of our heroes. Instead of fighting giants and monsters, I have spent most of my life in the woods, among the flowers, listening for hours to the birds. Many things have I watched, some perhaps that my brothers thought too small to be worthy of notice. I have learned many lessons, and the greatest of them all is to know how much power there is in little things, and to see how often the work done quietly and hidden from the eyes of men is the finest and most wonderful. Since we cannot make a change strong enough to bind Fenrir, let us go to the little dwarves who work in silence and in darkness and ask them to make us a chain. The All-Father's troubled face grew brighter as he heard Freyr speak, and he bade him send a messenger quickly to the dwarves to order a chain made as soon as possible. It's a good thing to think about, folks, right? Because we oftentimes want to make the most opulent and the biggest overture of efforts to things, and sometimes, like Freyr says, the greatest of them is that there are things that are done silently, quietly, behind the scenes. Don't always think that because it's the biggest and boldest and greatest of things that it is the winning of things. Okay. So Freyr went out, leaving the Aesir in their trouble, and came to his own lovely home in Alfheim. There everything was bright and peaceful, and the little elves were busy and happy. Freyr found a trusty messenger and sent him with all speed to the dwarfs underground to order the new chains and to return as soon as he could bring it. The faithful servant found the funny little dwarf workmen all busy in their dark rock chambers far down inside the earth, while at one side, in a lighter palace or a lighter place, sat their king. The messenger bowed before him and told him his errand. The dwarves were a quote-unquote wicked race, but they were afraid of Odin, for they had not forgotten the talk he once had with them when he set them down to work in darkness underground, and since that time they never had dared disobey him. It's funny stuff when you're talking about the various races, the various subcultures and stuff within the lore. You have, your elves, your fairies, your dwarves, the sacred gods of the Aesir and the Vanir. Freyr being himself a Vanir god, which is why he says that he is not so skilled in the use of war as Tyr or even Thor. So he goes and he works with the sources and the resources that he is skilled in and that he knows. Also to be considered the fact that the dwarves are the figures in lore who formed Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. But anyway, the dwarf king said that it would take 2 days and 2 nights to make the chain, but it would be so strong that no one could break it. Sounds pretty good, right? Sounds pretty good when, Freyr or excuse me, Fenrir has broken the chains that Thor, the mighty Thor, has forged with his own hammer, Mjolnir. 14 live viewers, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. While I'm reading the story, please comment down below where you are watching from. Really appreciate everyone's support. Love hanging out with you guys and reading the stories. These are some of my favorite stories from the lore that I'm reading from right now. Asgard Stories, a book that has gone through 120 years of existence. This is amazing. All right. So, while the busy dwarves were at work, the messengers looked about at the many wonderful things. The great central fire, which burns always in the middle of the earth. I do realize, just a quick pause, I do realize that my visual aspects of the video may have been temporarily paused. Hopefully everybody can still hear me. Just let me know down below before I continue reading. Thank you. IDK, man, maybe not. Who says, God, this is so soothing. Let me know, folks, down below that I am back in your visual and audio parts, right? I want to make sure that everybody can hear me and can see me, because I got a notification that there may have been some interruption in the visual parts of things. So thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. Let me go ahead and continue with the reading. Starting off again. While everything is good, here, Mariah, thank you so much. While the busy dwarves were at work, the messenger looked about at the many wonderful things. The great central fires, which burn always in the middle of the earth, watched and fed with coal by the dwarves. Above this, the beds of coals and bright, precious diamonds, while the dwarves looked from the ashes of the fire. In another plane, he watched them putting gold and silver, tin and copper into the circles of the rocks, and he drank of the pure underground water, which gives the Midgard people fresh springs. So we see now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just watching, if you're listening, picture the effort being put into these magical chains that are supposed to bind this monstrous force. The gods are so concerned about. The dwarves are being commissioned to do this sort of thing, and there's so much magic being put into this through their craft, through their skill. It's amazing. Thank you, Janet. Hail and blessings from Indiana, who's Acidipinus Erraticus. Thank you so much. If I mispronounced your name, I apologize, but thank you so much for commenting. All right, continuing on in this great story. After 2 days, the messenger returned to the dwarf king, and the king, holding out his hand, a fine small chain, said to the messenger, "This may seem to you to be small and weak, but it is a most wonderful piece of work, as is most of the work from the dwarves. Look at Mjolnir, right? Small, seemingly underdeveloped, misproportioned, all this kind of stuff. The work of the dwarves in the lore is phenomenal and masterful. It is a most wonderful piece of work, for we have used it in all the strongest stuff we could find. It is made of 6 kinds of things. 6 kinds of things, ladies and gentlemen. Can you tell me right now, before I read them to you, the 6 things that the chain that can bind Fenrir, what those 6 items are? While I take a break. While I stretch, what 6 things, even if one of those things, can you tell me what they are? There are 6 things that are made of this chain, that this chain is made of, that bind Fenrir. What are those things? Tell me down below in the comments. They are things that do not exist. I'll tell you that much. Not in the physical world. This is one of my favorite stories. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of my favorite stories of the lore, and I love the way it is presented in this version. Hardcase says, footsteps of a cat. You got one right. Yes. The sound of a cat's foot, a woman's beard, the roots of the mountain. Dusty got 3. Yes. You're halfway there, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you watching. Appreciate you commenting. 3 down, 3 to go. Where are we at? We got the sound of a cat's foot, a woman's beard, the roots of a mountain. We're halfway there. Everybody out that's watching right now, let me know. Here in the next minute or so, I'm gonna continue reading the story. These are phenomenal things to think about. Good evening from West Tennessee, Hard Case. Well, good evening to you, Hard Case from Middle Tennessee, as I stream live here from Middle Tennessee. Thank you so much for watching and commenting. Be sure to please share the video. Subscribe if you haven't yet already. It says it right down here. Right, this thing right here, this monstrosity that's hanging over my space right here, this Midgard Musings Bind Room. If you see it, click on it, like it, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff. All right, 3 out of 6, 50%. Awesome. It is made. The chains are. This chain is. It is made of 6 kinds of things. You guys ready? Ready to know what those 6 things are? It is the noise made by the footfall of cats, the roots of stones, the beards of women, the voices of fishes, the spittle of birds, and the sinews of bears. 6 things that don't exist in the real world, right? The real physical world as we know it. This chain can never be broken, said the dwarf. And if you can put it on Fenrir, he will never be able to throw it off. Odin's messenger was glad to hear this. So he thanked the dwarf king and, promising him a large reward, went back his way to Asgard, where the Aesir were longing for his return and were all rejoiced to see him with the magic chains. Now, Father Odin feared that Fenrir would not let himself be bound with for a third time. So he proposed they should all take a holiday and go out to a beautiful lake in the north of Asgard, where they would have games and trials of strength. You know, the normal Asgardian Norse culture. Let's just hang out, have fun, show off our skills, that sort of thing. Right? The other gods were pleased with this plan and all set out in Freyr's wonderful ship. Freyr has a ship, which, interestingly enough, in the lore, he can reduce down, fold down, whatever, put in his pocket, pop out, and you got a full-size ship. It's really cool. So they set out in Freyr's wonderful ship, which was large enough to hold all the Aesir with all their horses, and yet could be folded up small enough to go in one's pocket. Now, guys, we are all stuck in quarantine right now, but tell me right now, how cool would it be if you could, right, take your vehicle, take your car, take your SUV, take your truck, take your whatever it is that you use to drive, and just fold it up, put it in your pocket, walk down the road, walk wherever. Hey, everybody, you want to go on a road trip? And here's your ride. Take it in your pocket, pop it out. How cool would that be, right? Really fun stuff. All right, so Zach Muntz, Dusty Gleipnir, blood of a honest politician. I'm reading the comments, guys. Hard Case says the blood of a politician, the blood of an honest politician, things that don't exist. That's funny, and that I applaud you for commenting that. That's hilarious. I think that's really kind of witty. All right, so back to the story, right? They landed on a lovely island in the lake, and after the races and games were over, after all the extracurricular activities had been done, Freyr brought out the chain, asked them all to try and break it. So, if you were one of the Aesir gods and you were given something to try and break, who would be one of the first that you think would step forward, right? Thor and Tyr, of course. They tried to break it. course, in vain. Didn't happen. So Thor said, I do not believe that anyone but Fenrir could break this chain. Well, the wolf did not want to be bound again, right? Fool me once, shame on me. Or was it fool me once, shame on you? Fool me twice, shame on me. He's not about to be fooled 3 times. But for fear of being called a coward, and said at last he would let them do it, if he might hold. It's all right. So let me back up. Right, doesn't want to be bound 3 times. Fool me once, buy me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you, or whatever. I'm reversing it. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That's what it is. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fenrir's like, you know what? I'm not about to do this a 3rd time. However, since you want to bring this about, and since you want to do this a 3rd time, he says, I'll do it. And in the interest of not being one to call the coward, I'm going to deliver some sort of price, right? So what he says is that I will let you do it, but one of you must hold their right hand in my mouth while I'm being bound, as a sign that the gods do not mean to play any sort of tricks on me. Because again, the first time I was fooled, shame on you. The second time I was fooled, shame on me. I'm not about to be fooled a 3rd time, so I'm going to hold a ransom. I'm going to hold some sort of hostage. You want to do this a 3rd time, I'm all for it. But if things go south, I'm taking something from you, right? Well, when the Aesir heard this, they looked at one another, and all but one drew back. The gods looked amongst themselves. The Aesir gods, the war gods, they looked amongst themselves. They heard Fenrir's demands, and they said, Are you going to put your hand in this monster's mouth? Nope. Are you going to put your hand in this monster's mouth? Nope. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Only one would be willing to do such. And I think everybody knows who that is. Comment down below who that is. Who is the one who willingly put his hand in the wolf's mouth? Should be easy at this point, right? I've almost given it away because we've talked about the name of the story. We know the nature of the gods who we're talking about right now, and we're at a point of the story that we know who the caretaker of this monster is. Who is it? That's right, Gray. That's right, Sentry. Tyr. And only Tyr. Only Tyr the Brave. The brave, good Tyr stepping forward quietly. Right? Put his hand into Fenrir's mouth. The other gods put the chains around the beast and fastened it to a great rock. The fierce creatures gave a leap. The fierce creature, who we're talking about, Fenrir now, the fierce creature gave a leap to free himself. But the more he struggled, the tighter the chains grew. And at this point, the Aesir gathered about him to joy, or gathered about him in joy to see this. But their hearts were filled with sorrow when they saw what was about to happen. Can anybody tell me what was about to happen? Because as Fenrir struggled and as Fenrir fought to break free of the bounds that were set upon him, the gods were like, yeah, we finally got him, right? We got him nailed down. But in Fenrir's mouth remains Tyr's hand. So what happens? Thank you, Nikki, for sharing the video. What happens now, ladies and gentlemen? As much as the Aesir are happy and joyous to see that the monster is bound, they are also sad. And why are they sad? They are sad because when Fenrir struggles, their noble brother, their noble kinsman, Tyr, has lost his right hand. He lost it because the dreadful wolf had shut his teeth together in his rage when he found that he could not go free. This is a display of some sort of betrayal, right? If you want to think about it, because Fenrir was, while perhaps a monster, while perhaps a child or offspring of a chaotic force, was kept in the care of the Aesir. And he didn't want to be bound. And when his bounds were put upon him, and he said, I'm not going to try this unless some sort of ransom is given, the only one that would come forth is the honorable, the brave, and the noble Tyr. And when Tyr put his hand in the wolf's mouth, there was nothing that could be done than to take that ransom, than to demand that ransom. So thus, the brave Tyr dared to risk danger for the sake of saving others, and gave up even his right hand to gain peace and happiness again for Asgard. And that, my friends, everyone who's watching live, is the story of Tyr and the monster, Tyr and the wolf. And it's a valuable lesson, I think. It's a valuable lesson because how many times do we encounter various demands, various situations, right, where the times that we're faced with a struggle, faced with a battle, faced with some sort of nefarious thing, and we want to deliver some sort of balance to it. We want to be like, you know what? Let's just get back to the roots. Let's get back to things. I think Tyr, to me, at least to me, is this sort of mediator, right? He's like, hey, look, I know there's conflict, I know there's war, I know there's all sorts of just bad going on. I'm willing to stick my hand in the fire. I'm willing to put myself in harm's way as a sort of sacrifice, as a sort of just, I don't care what the outcome is in the long run. I'm willing to give my part of myself to the overall good of the tribe, the overall good of the people. So that's why I personally love working with Tyr, and I hope you guys enjoyed that version of the story. Let me read through the comments here. Yes, Fenrir bites off Tyr's hand. Thank you, Century. Really appreciate it. Nikki, everyone. If you guys will give me like 1 minute, please don't go anywhere. Everyone who's watching, 10 live viewers. If you guys will just give me like 1 minute, 60 seconds, okay? 60 seconds of your time for me to stand up, stretch, walk out. I'm going to step out of frame for just a minute. Hang around. I've got some more runes that I want to burn. If you guys are willing to hang out and talk with me for a little bit longer, ask your questions, I'm willing to answer them. If you don't mind, just give me like 60 seconds to stand up, stretch, do the same thing for yourselves. Take care of yourselves. We're all here under this quarantine, COVID-19 live stream, blah, 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 blah. Take care of yourselves, all right? So 60 seconds, I will be back. Don't go anywhere. 9 live viewers. I said what I said, and somebody said, I'm out. It's cool. It's all right. I will be back and continue to burn some more runes. So take a moment, stand up, stretch, get yourself something to drink, and I will be back here in less than a minute. Love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting, and I will be right back, okay? All right. Everybody, welcome back. I think that was well within the 60-second, expectation, right? Thanks, Mariah. Mariah, who just says, LOL. I don't know in the context of which that's meant to be delivered, but guys, if we're not laughing out loud, right? If we're not finding the humor in life, if we're not finding some sort of wholesomeness in our lives right now, what are we even doing, right? We got to take care of our own mental health, our own physical health. Get up, stand up, stretch, right? I'm a scrawny bastard, you know what I mean? Just get out here. Just don't stay stagnant. Don't sacrifice your own well-being just to please others, you know what I mean? I'm so happy to be able to sit here and talk to people and work on rune sets, man. Let's get back to that. Let's get back to that. My driftwood rune sets. These things I've been doing now for over a year. People love them, and I love doing them. It's relaxing. It's therapeutic. I really truly enjoy it. Let's get through some more. Let's get through some more rune burnings, right? This rune set. This rune set that I'm working on right now is going out to somebody here in my area. I've sent pieces to folks all over the country, all over the United States. Anybody watching right now, where are you currently out of? I got some people that are here in Florida and Tennessee and all kinds of places. I read earlier in an article that some folks in other states that I'm or a state that I'm friends in North Carolina here in the United States, there's folks here who are going to be various counties under a sort of a quarantine or stay at home order, shelter in place order. It's crazy times that we're in right now, folks. We all need to take care of ourselves, take care of those folks that are around us. 8 live viewers, hail and welcome. If you've never subscribed to Midgard Musings before, please do so now. I upload videos every week, usually on new videos on Sundays about Norse heathenry, Germanic paganism. Just got done finishing a live reading of the story of Tyr and Fenrir, Tyr and the monster, Tyr and the wolf. Really awesome story. I love the delivery of it. I loved everybody's interaction of it. So if you're into that sort of thing and you're new here to this channel, please, share it. Subscribe. Right now, I'm working on rune sets. This doesn't look like much right now, but when I finish it, this is kind of the style that you're going to see. For anybody that's new, that's joining and watching the live stream, these are driftwood rune sets. I do these things as a sort of monetary way to help support this channel, because I'm not monetized. I'm just a small time heathen out here, just doing what I do to share what I learned out here with everybody else. And we're all on lockdown. Majority of us are anyways. So fortunately, I have the opportunity to do stuff like this. Ask your questions down below. Hard case is almost martial law. Yeah, you are not wrong, sir, ma'am. You are not wrong. I've had that thought in my mind for quite some time, and I just tend to, keep doing what I'm doing, because I know my hearth and myself, my folk are going to be okay with whatever happens. This is going to, we're going to get past this. All right. Like, we're going to get past this. But the normal life, right? What everybody says is this is what normal life is, what normal life is supposed to be. Normal is going to be a lot different after this whole thing. I can assure you that. There's not going to be the same. Normal is not going to be the same going forward. Okay. And that's kind of part of it, right? Everything is fluid. Everything is changing. There's a healing that's going on right now for our mother, for Yord, right? Yord is mother to us all. And Thor is our protector, and Yord is his mother, and Yord is mother to us all. Hard Case says, been having dreams where he's in a hall with a roaring fire, and a bitter winter is raging outside. There's bitterness raging around us, man. Winter doesn't necessarily, it's not specific to a season, but it could definitely be connected to the harshness and struggle that we are facing all as individuals right now. Everyone, guys, I'm just one person out here streaming and talking to people. I'm one person right now who is feeling the same thing in different ways. There are a lot of things that people are feeling, and they are experiencing it in different ways based off of how they're able to process changes of things, right? And it is a crazy time that we live in. I honestly never thought that I would. Well, let me put it this way. I thought that I would be experiencing something in my lifetime, but I didn't know that this is what it would be, and this is how it would be. Right? I had some sort of just in the back of my mind, like something may happen, right? But what that something was and what that something is not this. So this is different. However, I am fortunate to have been brought up and raised in an environment and in a way that helped teach me the values and the ways to maintain a safe and structured space during times like this. So it's not like there was a textbook definition of what was going on, but it's like, if stuff hits the fan, trying to keep it family friendly. If stuff hits the fan, you should know where to go, what to do, how to do it, And I'm fortunate to know those things. So having that knowledge, having that awareness provides me with some sort of comfort or clarity. Um, Mariah says that thinks that this is a lesson to us to be grateful for what we have and give respect to the earth. I think that there's value in that approach, Mariah, because how many people just tend to go through life and take advantage of the things that are around them, right? Is there anybody out here right now? And I'm asking this as a real question. Is there anybody here right now watching? 8 live viewers. That channel's got 2,500 subscribers, 8 live viewers. Is there anybody out here right now who could provide for themselves with what they grow, what they procure, without having to go to a store and get something already pre-made? Can you make your own bread? Right? Do you know how to grow your own vegetables? Do you know how to do all this type of stuff? Guys, as heathens nowadays, this is stuff that our ancestors like knew about. This is stuff that our ancestors not just knew about, but it was like daily stuff for them. Like we're going back to our roots, everybody. We're going back to our roots. And if you don't know how to do it, I suggest you learn now, because I grew up in an environment that taught me how to do the things that I'm just saying, how to provide for you, how to make bread, how to grow. I've done it. I've done it for years. I've raised cattle. I've grown crops. I've lived on a farm for over a decade. Fortunately, here's the sauce in the driftwood set, right? This rune's done. On to Ansus. But guys, this is something that I've been fortunate enough to learn. And if you don't know, and if you want to learn, you're the only one that's stopping you, right? Yes, I'm fortunate enough to have been grown and raised in that environment, but anybody right now, like, I think that this is the time. If you haven't yet, this is the time that you need to focus on learning these things. Don't worry about buying up pre-processed stuff. Like, get things that are non-perishable. Get your ingredients, right? We live in the digital age, regardless of the craziness that's going on around us. So if you don't know how to do it, fortunately, you have the resources to be able to find the way to do what you're doing. But get the resources, get the non-perishable goods, get your flours, get your oils, get your everything that you need to make what you need to make, instead of buying the pre-processed stuff that's only going to rot and go bad after a week or so of you not using it. We're coming into the spring months here in the Northern Hemisphere. So grow what you can grow. Start a garden, however big or however small that you can. If you can, do what you can. Hey, Bradley Boss. Hey there. Janet King, been shut in a week. Don't need to shop. That's what I'm talking about. I've been shut in for the week. Haven't been to the store at all. I've got to go out and get some of these things to make more rune sets, because I've run out of material, but that's about it. As far as like groceries and food, we're good. We're set. We got it. Mariah says, oh yeah, respect to the earth. And then Hard Case says, trapped and maintain garden filled. Axes are sharpened. Axes are sharpened. That's the other thing too, ladies and gentlemen. I hate to bring it up, but Hard Case brings up a very good point, and that is that there are times that we will need to protect what we have cultivated, protect what we have grown, because there will be people who try to come in and get things that are not theirs and try to take things and raid, right? So we have to be prepared. Our axes need to be sharpened. Our resources need to be able and ready to protect. We are getting back to the points of our ancestors, ladies and gentlemen. We are going back to the parts of our folk that we draw our luck from. And I mean that in the most honest and sincere and truest sense. Our folk, the people that we draw our luck from, our ancestors, this was daily life for them. This was seasonal. This was just everyday life for them. And we are getting back to that, whether you like it or not. Bradley says he's probably going to self-quarantine starting today. Fever just broke, and now you feel weak. Bradley, please self-quarantine. Stay within. Isolate as much as you are able to, and I hope you get to feeling better. Fever's no joke. When you are carrying a fever, when you have a fever, you are more, just as a general medical rule, right? Like, you are more contagious. You will spread the virus, or spread whatever it is that you are feeling, easier when you are when you have a fever. So do yourself and do everybody else a favor. Don't be a hero. Stay put. Stay home. Don't move. If you've got resources, if you've got things in home to take care of yourself, do so. Write it out, right? That's part of the problem that we're in right now. It's crazy times that we're in, folks. It's crazy times that we're in. However, as I've liked to call focus to, is that we are in times right now that have not exceeded the times of our ancestors, right? Our ancestors, who we come from, have lived through difficult times like this, and perhaps even more. Our ancestors, for a lot of folks who are watching right now, people in my generation and before, our ancestors our immediate ancestors have lived in times of, depressions, recessions, military occupations of states and countries, right? We're going to get through this. It's going to pass. We're just in a time right now that's really super crazy. Take care of yourselves. Hey there, Mishka Valhalla, hail and welcome. Been streaming live now for a little while. Just got done reading a really awesome story of Tyr and Fenrir. So if you're just joining right now, hail and welcome. Please share the live stream. I'm currently working on Unsus. As you can see, it's a work in progress, shading the rune to give it some life. Here's the thing, folks. When I make my runes, when I make the runes for people who want to buy runes from me, you are getting. A lot of people have asked me, do I bless the runes? Do I blood the runes? Do I do anything to the runes before I send them? And my answer is no. I don't stain the runes. I don't seal the runes. I don't blood the runes. I don't do anything beyond handling the runes, and the power that comes to you as the customer, as the client, as the person who commissions me to make the runes. That is power enough, because as a Vitki and as an individual has dedicated himself to the study of the runes, I'm touching this. I'm handling this. My life force is going into this. My intent is going into this. So you get what you get, and you put into it what you put into it. You are not going to get anything beyond my physical handling of it. But with the physical handling of it, you will get that power. You will get the intent and the focus and the spiritual. Like as I'm talking right now, right? I'm working on Unsus. and I'm talking and I'm communicating, and I understand that that is the power of that rune. So as I touch it, as I work on this rune set that goes to the next person who gets it, receives within this rune the power and the energy of the rune master who's touching it. So Nikki Slusher says, used to help grandfather with his garden till he moved away. Still remember the lessons he taught. Please don't forget the lessons. Please don't forget the value of cultivating the land and working the land. I'm telling you folks right now, 11 people watching, if you don't know anything, if you don't take anything away from this right now, understand and know what it means to cultivate and work the land. Can you grow something? Can you build something from its seed? Sense. Can you start something from a seed, nurture it, and bring it into something that you can eat and gain nutrition from? Because let me tell you something, folks. That is the ultimate sense. That is the ultimate form of this right here. That is the ultimate form of Gabo, because you are gifting to the earth. You are gifting to the seed. You are gifting to that source to grow. And then that source grows into something and gifts back to you as sustenance. It is the ultimate, most primal, most sincere form of Gabo that I can probably even think of right now. And I want everybody to think about that Gabo, Gefun, right? The equal exchange of the gift. And just as a reminder, right, this rune right here, the equal exchange of gift. You gift to the source, and the source gifts back to you when it becomes something that you can cultivate and harvest. Cycles. Cyclic. Death is not an end. When we reach the point of an expiration, there's something else that carries on that existence beyond the surface, right? Nothing better than eating your own garden and feeling the pride in your work. I totally agree, Mariah. Again, I'm not sure how many people are watching right now that can attest to that, but I personally can attest to that and can agree that I have worked on a farm for over a decade, part of which was raising cattle. And when it came to the point of, putting the cattle in the barn and feeding the cattle and slaughtering the cattle, and then months or whatever it was later, eating the cattle, it's like my hands were in this, the energy, the life, everything was in it. I know what's going into it. I know what's being put into it. And there's just so much good that comes from it. So, folks, I'm about to finish up on Seuss, and then we're going to read one more story from the lore. So if you want people to join, please share this video right now. Let people know that I'm streaming live here on YouTube, right? Everything is mirrored right now. So I'm saying subscribe to Midgard Musings. Subscribe to Midgard Musings. This thing is right here. Let me hold it. Let me cradle it. I can't even, because everything is different. I can't. There we go. There it is. Subscribe to this bind rune. Okay. Embrace the bind rune. Got one more story to read to everybody tonight before we end this live stream as I'm working on this rune set. Please share it around. Get everybody who you want to joined in on it. 10 live viewers right now. Absolutely phenomenal. Really appreciate everyone's support. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'm enjoying it. Like, what else am I going to do? I could do this by myself. I could talk to nobody, or I could talk to everybody here. and everybody here is choosing to hang out and talk with me, and I greatly appreciate it. Happy to show you guys the guys and gals the end result of Ansus. I always like to make sure that the runes, look the way they're supposed to look, that people are getting what they expect, right? So here we are, live on a Friday night, speaking, communicating, and there's Ansus. Right? All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, there we go. Stand up, stretch if you need to. I know we did it just a little while ago. If you got to go smoke, if you got to take a hit from your vape, take a swig from your chalice, your glass, your horn, whatever it is. Who's ready for another story from the lore? And thank you so much for hanging out tonight, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Really appreciate your support. Let's see here. Like Nikki Slusher says, homegrown fruits and vegetables taste so much better than store-bought ones. I absolutely concur with you, Nikki Slusher. As someone who has grown vegetables, and not only that, but has experienced homegrown meats from like cattle or livestock and chickens, like the eggs, all that kind of stuff. It's so much better. You actually become spoiled when you kind of grow up in that, or you experience that, and then you get like the store-bought stuff. So let's go ahead. What do I have in my vape, Gary? Sorry, Gray H. Good question, Gray. Let me show you guys. What do I have in my vape? Always happy to call to attention some great products. This is something that I've been vaping on for a little over a month now. So for all the vapors out there, oops, there you go. Rogue American Pie. You guys see that? Rogue American Pie. If you are a vapor, if you do the vaping thing, this is delicious. If you like a apple pie flavored thing, like, so it's got that fruity thing of the apples, but it's a dessert type of flavor profile. One cool thing about this flavor is that if anybody out here who vapes knows about flavor fatigue, where you get a really good flavor that you vape on for a couple of weeks and then you don't get anything from it. This flavor right here, okay, American Rogue American Pie, no flavor fatigue. I've been vaping on this for like a month or more. No flavor fatigue. Change the coils, tastes great. Apple pie flavored. You got that, earthiness, sweetness, just that like this is dessert custardy kind of flavor profile going on. That is what I'm currently vaping on right now. Definitely, if you can get it in your area, I recommend it. This brand probably makes other things too. It's called Rogue. Let me throw it down on the table. Why don't I? It's called Rogue, but American Pie is the apple pie flavor. All right. So now that we got that out of the way, hey, Carl Schulberg hails, says hails or hails. Hail and welcome. Thank you for watching the live stream tonight. I have done a bunch of doing some rune set wood burnings on drifted pieces. If this is your first time watching, thank you so much. Here's what I'm working on right now. We're going to be reading some more stories from the lore, and Thank you so much. Talking a little bit about vape juices, all kinds of fun stuff. Apple pie is, as you say, Mishka Valhalla, apple pie is the shit. There's a lot of different brands. Like apple pie is one of my favorite flavor profiles. There's a lot of brands that I've gone through over the years, probably about the last 5 or 6 years of me vaping, that I just kind of get tired of and get bored of. This is one that I will absolutely go back and buy more of, right? So Rogue apple pie or Rogue American pie. Rogue. I am not sponsored. Obviously, I'm not sponsored by them, but if they're into it and they want the heathen community to know about cool vaping products, hit me up. Anyway, let's get into some more lore reading. You guys up for it? You guys in it for the long haul? We're going to talk about Freya's necklace. That's cool with you. That's the next story in sequence that we're going to be talking about. Freya's necklace. You guys good with that? Cool, Carl. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Carl. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Please do so. Share this video. Right now, got 12 live viewers. Huge audience right now. Everybody, hail and welcome. Midgard Musing streaming live on the COVID-19 quarantine live stream. Really appreciate everyone that's joining and watching and listening. So I love, and who doesn't, right? Who doesn't love Freya? Does anybody know about Freya in the lore? Let me know down in the comments real quick before we get the story. Do you know about Freya? Do you know what she's about? And what do you love about Freya? I've done videos about my deity discussion videos. If you go to my channel and go to the playlist section, you're going to see a bunch of the gods and goddesses that I've already talked about, Freya being one of them. Let me know down right now in the live chat, what do you guys think about Freya, and what do you think embodies or carries, like what essences do you think Freya kind of carries? Carl says he's still learning. We all are, Carl. We're all still learning. I'm still learning. Like, geez, like I've been, I am a practicing heathen for 4 going on 5 years, working in the runes for most of that time, and I still learn things every single day. So what is everybody's thought on Freya? I love to hear things. Hello, Austin Caldwell. Been watching but not commenting due to hanging with friends. Well, Austin Caldwell calling you out right now in the live stream, and all your friends. Tell all your friends to just jump on Google, get logged into YouTube, and say hi. I want to know who is or who are Austin's friends. Austin says he's hanging out with his friends, and I'm hanging out here with folks that I don't know. So I'm hanging out with potentially new friends. So Austin's hanging out with friends, and I want to know who are Austin's friends, and if you know anything about Freya, because we're about to be reading a story from the lore about Freya's necklace. Awesome story. Absolutely love it. Can't wait to talk about it. Love and fertility, warmth and comfort. And Mishka Valhalla says that Freya is their foremost deity. She's the goddess of love, fertility, war, and death, right? She is of the Vanir, and her father is Njord of the shores. Her brother is also Freyr. Very descriptive, collective answer. So thank you, Mishka Valhalla. Yes, Freya is. Here's how I like to call Freya, guys. And this may be a little bit cliche. Okay, this may be a little bit cliche, and you probably have already heard this, but I like to refer to Freya as the party girl of the Aesir. She's not the Aesir. She's not from the Aesir. Like Mishka just said, she comes from the Vanir. side because she's brother, or excuse me, her brother is Freyr, which is of the Vanir. However, she's adopted over into the Aesir, which is the warrior class, the war god class, the Aesir tribe, and she's the party girl, right? She's like, I'm not so much concerned about, like, yes, love and fertility, yes, but she's also concerned about, like, hey, look, let's just hit it and quit it, almost in a way, like there's that sense of like just like free love, like just, you know what I mean, like the party girl of the Aesir, like the warrior, the fighter, that I don't know, like maybe she's a redhead, I don't know, but anyway, um, that's just my thing, guys and gals. Like no disrespect to anybody or anyone out here that thinks about it, but like that's just my whole thing. Um, yeah, teacher's pet. Call her the most social. She was part of the truce to stop the war between the Aesir and the Vanir. There was that truce, right, between the Aesir and the Vanir War, where Njord gave up his children, Frey and Freyr. Now it's a very interesting thing that you look at in like historical times, and in this essence of, I think the I'm getting ahead of myself, but I think if you look at like from a historical aspect, there's one centralized like mother figure, one central female figure. You have other female figures, female goddesses, but and Freyr and Freya. Some will make an argument that there's like Freya and Frigg, the All Mother, like that they are one and the same. But I hold them two separate. I am a hard polytheist, and I think that they are, Frigg is one, and Freya is another. Frigg is about the hearth and home, the very mothering and nurturing aspect, and Freya is a bit more of like, she's like in those wild teenage years. I don't know. Love Freya. Love the essence of Freya. Love that freedom. Love that wildness. Love that, just get out there and do it sort of thing. Thor, Carl says, is Thor Vanir or Aesir? Thor is most definitely Aesir. 100%. He is an Aesir god. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, all 11 folks who are watching, we're going to be reading now from the this book called the Asgard Stories. This book, the publication, Foster and Cummings, authors, Silver Burdett and Company. This book right here, the authors and stuff, this goes back over 120 years, or about 120 years, so over a century. We're going to read now from here Freya's necklace. All right, so this is our last story of the night, of how Freya got her necklace, and it's going to be a fun one, all right? All right. Long night of streaming, guys. Let me wet my whistle. Doing a whole bunch of things. Really appreciate you watching. Awesome. What did Loki do this time? What did Loki do this time? Did Loki do something? Am I missing something here? All right. So here we go. Freya's necklace. Here we go. Yes, I really must have flowers to wear in the feast tonight, said Freya to her husband, whose name is Udr. Freya was the goddess of love and beauty. She was the most beautiful of all the Aesir, and everyone loved to look at her charming face and to hear her sweet voice. I think you look quite beautiful enough as you are without flowers, Oder replied. But Freya was not satisfied. what does this guy know, right? What does the guy know, right? She's all like, I need flowers, I need to look this, I need to look that. And the guy's like, oh, you look great. Hey, gentlemen, folks, right? The men out here, the male folk, right? We tell our wives, we tell women, oh, you look great as you are. And what do our women say? In true Freya fashion, whatever. You don't know, right? You don't know what it is I need. You don't know what it is I need to look at. I need this thing, that, or the other. In true Freya fashion, right? So she was not satisfied. She thought she would go and find her brother Freyr, the god of summer, for he would give her a garland of flowers. Hey, big brother's going to take care of me, right? Whatever the hell, whatever this husband guy, whatever, he's going to just put me up on this pedestal, right? He's going to make me think that I'm looking great. Let me go to my brother. He's going to get what I need. He's family. He knows what I need, right? So she wanders forth from Asgard on her way to Freyr's bright home in Alfheim, where he lives among his happy, busy little elves, right? And as Freya walks along, she was thinking of the feast to be given that night. Thinking about, oh man, there's going to be so much pork, so much roasted meat, so many delicious foods, right? Knowing that all the gods and goddesses would be there, and she was like, hey, I'm not trying to roll up into this gala. I'm not trying to look basic, right? I need to be like on fleek. Is that the word? Is that the word? Like, I need to be on fleek. I need to be on point. I need to be like 100% looking fine. Pretty fly. I don't know. I'm in my using terms. Millennials. I don't know. Whatever. She needs to look good. She wants to look good. She wants to be like on point. She's like, I'm not settling for anything less than perfect. Right? It's like the Oscars. Right? Got to look good. On and on she wandered, not thinking how far she was getting away from home. Finally, the light began to grow fainter and fainter, and Freya found herself in quite a strange place. Right? She's thinking about looking so good herself that she's forgotten where she's at. And next thing you know, she's like, where even am I? All right, so the sunlight has faded away, but there was still a little light that came from lanterns carried by funny little dwarves. Those funny little dwarves who were busily working about. And some were digging for gold and gems, and others were cleaning off the dirt from the precious stones and polishing them to make them bright, while four little fellows were seated in one corner, putting the sparkling stones together into a wonderful necklace. Now, what can be on that beautiful thing? Thought Freya. What could possibly be on that beautiful thing? If only I had that, right? She's like, it's like Breakfast at Tiffany's. I haven't watched that movie in a really long time. But like, she's like Audrey Hepburn, just like exuberant, just like, oh, look at that. I need to have it. I need it. I see it. I want it. I need it. What could possibly be more beautiful than that on me, right? This is Freya for you. So the more she thought about it, the more she longed to get it. She's like, I can't walk away. I can't leave this store, right? Guys, the ladies, right? I can't leave this store. I can't go away. I can't get away from this whole thing unless I get it. I got it. I need it. I want it. I love it. I want some more of it. That's not even a thing. What am I even saying? Anyway, going on with the story. What am I even talking about? So here she is, thinks that she has to have it. If only I had this, it would surely make me look more beautiful than anyone else at the feast tonight. All these other broads, all these other goddesses coming in here to this feast tonight ain't going to look as fine as me unless I have that thing right there that those four little dwarves are working on, right? So the more she thought about it, the more she longed to get it. And she says, oh, I've got to have it. I really must have it. Right? So she comes up to the four dwarves and she says, for what price will you sell me your necklace? Give me a price. Well, the dwarves looked her up and down. And for their works, they looked at her appearance, because Freya, being a goddess of the Aesir, right? She's got this exuberant, just beautiful femininity about her, right? Voluptuous, just looking great, looking fine, looking wonderful, sounding wonderful. Everything about her is just wonderful. So the dwarf said, oh, well, if you will only look kindly upon us and be our friend, right? Then you may have our necklace. And here's an image, guys and gals. Here's an image in the book of Freya talking to her four fellows, talking to those four fellows, talking to the dwarves, right? So if you will look kindly upon us and be our friend, you may have our necklace. Well, with a mocking laugh echoed again and again through the dark cavern, seemingly to say, how foolish you are to wish for these bright diamonds. They will not make you happy. But Freya snatched the necklace and ran out of the cavern. You want to make fun of me? I'll take your shit. I'll take it out of here. I'm Freya. Oh, damn it. I'm Freya. I'm daughter of Njord, living in Asgard, walking up in this gala event with all the gods and goddesses. I'm about to look about as great as could possibly be looked upon, right? Takes it. But it did not please her to hear the teasing laugh of the dwarves. She wanted to get away from them as soon as possible. She's like, you know what? You can laugh all you want. You can think all you want. You don't stand a chance with me. You don't stand a chance with me. Freya, Beyonce, up in this biatch, whatever. Okay. So at last she was. This is ridiculous. At last she was once more out in the open air, tries to be free, happy again, but a strange feeling of dread came over her, as if something was going to happen. Maybe some guilt. She's like, maybe I did something wrong, right? So soon she came to a still pool of water, and putting on the necklace, she bent over to look at her picture in the clear water, right? The mirror of herself is in the clear water, right? So she looks in and she thinks, oh, wow, how beautiful these diamonds are. They sparkle in the sunshine. She must hasten home and show them to Oder, her husband. Hey, baby, look at this. Look what I got, right? Well, the fair goddess, Freya, soon reached Asgard and hurried to the palace to find her husband, but Oder was not there. Over and over again, she searched through all the rooms in vain. He had gone, and although Freya had her beautiful necklace, she cared little for it without her dear husband, right? So I guess at her core, she was like, I want to come back. I want to impress everybody, but ultimately, I want to impress my man. I want him to see my bling, right? I want him to see, look at all this awesomeness, and he's not here. So she's like, I like it, but he's not here to appreciate it. So soon it was time to go to the feast. And Freya herself would not go to the feast without Oder. So she sat down, wept her bitter tears, crying. Right? She felt no joy without having her husband nearby, even though she has the necklace. Sorrow because she could not feast with the Aesir without Oder nearby. So, if only Oder would come back, she thinks. If only he would be here and all well would happen again. All would be well again. She thinks, I will go to the end of the world to find him. And so she began to make ready her journey her chariot drawn by her 2 cats, right? If you're a Freya's woman or Freya's man, you know about the cats and the association of cats with Freya. She jumps on her chariot drawn by the 2 cats and she heads out. But before she could start, she must first ask Father Odin to allow her to go. And she says, "Oh, Father, I beg you, please give me leave to go to look for Oder in every corner of the world." And all Father Odin replies, "Go forth, Freya. Go forth, Freya, fair one, and may you find whom you seek." So she started forth, first to the Midgard world. The goddess of beauty went, and no one in all the world had seen or heard of Oder. Down under the earth to Niflheim and even to Utgard, the land of giants, she wandered, but still no one had seen or even heard of her husband. So poor Freya wept many tears, and whenever the teardrops fell and sank into the ground, they turned into glistening gold. Kind of feeling bad for Freya at this point, right? She went through all this trouble to steal the necklace. Nobody that she wants to see it and appreciate it is near her. And now she's going through all this effort to find her one true love, her husband, Oder. So at last, the sad goddess returns to her own palace alone. She still wears that wonderful necklace, which she calls Brisingamen. Brisingamen necklace, that necklace of gold. One night, when the hour was late, all the Aesir were asleep except for the ever-watchful Heimdall, the watchman of the gods, the one who stands vigilant on the Bifrost Bridge to watch and be vigilant, Heimdall. He sees everything. He hears soft footsteps, like those of a cat, near Freya's palace. He listened and thought, that is surely someone bent on mischief, and I must follow him. So when Heimdall reached the palace, he found that it was, of course, Loki, who had changed into another form, creeping softly about. So Heimdall quietly watched him and saw him glide into Freya's bedside, where the fair goddess lay asleep, wearing her beautiful necklace. And at this point, Loki had come to steal the necklace. But when he saw that she was laying on the clasp of the chain, so that he could not undo it without waking her, he changed himself into a gnat. And those little bugs, one of those little annoying little flies, right? Changed himself into a gnat and crawling along on the pillow, stung her just enough to make her turn over, but not enough to wake her. At that point, he unclasped the chain and ran off with it as fast as he could. But the ever-watchful Heimdall was not going to be the one to let the thief get away. So as soon as Loki found that he was followed, he took his other form, a little flame of fire, and Heimdall then took off after his other shape and became a shower of rain, because Heimdall himself could also shapeshift. His, as we call his, Hummer, the way he could shift his own shape, his Hummer, as we call it. So he took that other shape and became a shower of rain to put out the fire of Loki's Hummer, of Loki's fire, right? But Loki, quick and watchful, changed himself into a bear to catch the rain. So Loki, he has his thing, right? He's thinking, right? He's, all right, you're gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and you're gonna do that, I'm gonna do this. So then Heimdall too became a bear, and a fierce fight began. And at last, the rain god conquered and forced wicked Loki to give back the necklace to Freya. So there was this little clash of the titans, as you will. And ultimately, the necklace is returned to Freya. Well, the whole land seemed to feel sorry for poor, lonely Freya. The leaves fell from the trees, the bright flowers faded, and the singing birds flew away. Once more, the fair goddess went forth from Asgard to seek her husband Odin. Away, away to the far off sunny south she wandered, and there, where the myrtle trees and the oranges grew, at last she found her long-lost love, Odin. Then, hand in hand, the two turned northward again, back to their home, and so happy were they together that they spread joy and happiness around them as they passed along. Everywhere the ice and snow thawed before them, green grass and sweet flowers sprang between their footsteps. The birds sang their sweetest songs. The warm summer came back to the north. It came back to the Northlands, and everyone was glad and joyful, for lovely, smiling Freya was at home again. White were the moorlands, and frozen before her. Green were the moorlands, and blossoming behind her. Out of her gold locks shaking the spring flowers, out of her garments shaking the south wind. Around in the birches, awaking the throstles, beautiful Freya came. And that, my friends, watching live here on Midgard Musings, quarantine COVID-19 live stream, concludes the story of Freya's necklace. Now, that's a different story, right? That's a different rendition of the story, because a lot of what we've probably heard and some of the more maybe like Snorri Sturluson or some of the more like authentic sources, like this is a rendition within the last century of that story, suggests that Freya gets her necklace from sleeping with all the dwarves, and seems a bit more of the Freya that we know and love. But let me go ahead and read through the comments and catch up with everybody before we end the live stream tonight. Really appreciate everyone's participation and watching and commenting. See Freya and Frigga as the same, because that's your tradition for sure. Freya does get the first pick. I was just looking through the comments here where Hardcase says that Freya, being a warrior goddess, gets the first pick, because in the lore we read about that Freya gets the first pick, Odin gets the second to go to Valhalla, so she's a bit more important in the lore from that part of the lore, for the warrior class, for the warrior cult types of folks. Stick to your own age group. Gonna have to get it going. Thank you, Carl. It's good to see you. 7 people watching. Speaks through the cats, wild boars, birds of prey, it seems. Hello, Brokey. Hail and welcome to the live stream. Long time running here live stream tonight. The COVID-19 quarantine live stream, as I like to say. Everybody's on lockdown, guys, all across the world. We're here watching. Down here in the bottom, right? Subscribe to Midgard Musings if you're watching. If you haven't, please do so. Thank you, Brokey and Mishka and Austin. Hardcase, that is one version I can share with your daughters, and she's only 10. Well, awesome, right? I like to look at what I do here as a sort of family-friendly approach. I'd like to get everyone, adults with their kids and everybody watching. There's not going to be any profanity. There's not going to be any derogatory terms or connotations being distributed here on this channel. I want the kids to be able to feel as much of a part of this as the rest of us, right? So thank you, Hardcase, for commenting that and being a part of the live stream. Thank you, Gray, who says, love the live stream. Thank you for the stories and lore. Have a good night. Thanks for the read. Thank you, everybody. Every single person who's been out here tonight for the last however long we've been doing this. Last hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it's been. I love it. I appreciate everyone's support. Please share the information down in the channel. We're all on lockdown. Everybody's like looking for stuff to watch, looking for stuff to do. Stay tuned, because the next video that comes out here on this channel is going to be a continuation of a study on the parts of self, and we're going to be talking about the philia. That video should be coming out this Sunday. I want everybody to please look forward to that. It's going to be it's not going to be a live thing, but it's going to be published here on this channel. So like it says down here in the bottom, subscribe to Midgard Musings. It's the most important thing that you can do. It costs you nothing. And then once you do subscribe, you click the bell notifications and you'll be notified when I upload new content. So thank you all so much for watching tonight's live stream. I appreciate it. Stay safe out there. Please stay active. Don't be scared, of getting out and getting some fresh air, but definitely do that. Step out. If you have to be quarantined, if you have to be inside, take the time, get out there, breathe the free air, breathe the fresh air, do what you can to stay active as much as you can. We're going to get through this. Our ancestors have. We will too. It's the stock that we come from. All right. So thank you all so much for watching tonight's live stream. I really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video. Hail, take care, and may your hearth fires